Alright, so I guess we just, yeah, I guess we just go continue then. I don't think there's anything else we can do.
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Indeed. The effects of Lenegis' transformation appear to be less pronounced here. Or, viewed another way, this area was simply luckier.
Pardon me.
Why does she look so mad? This area falls under the sole jurisdiction of House Kyneris and must ask you to depart. Surely you don't claim to be ignorant of our famed house, ruled over by the esteemed Lord Almadria? If so, I urge you to listen well. In fact, I bid you listen carefully. Have you ever noticed how in the history of Lenegis, only a few woman lords have emerged to compete in the crown contest? Many have theories as to why this might be, but Lord Almadria squashed the doubts of many naysayers through sheer might. In fact, not only did she usurp her father and previous family master, she also removed her older brother to claim the seat for herself. Do you mean that she just killed, like... Okay, my understanding, if you're saying remove, I'm like thinking, like, did she just kill her brother just to get the seat? She is a woman who stops on nothing to get what she wants, who gives her enemies nary the slightest opening to strike. Truly, Lord Almadria is a woman of talent. No one in all Rena better exemplifies the virtues of our nation's matrosity. Soon the age of a glorious woman sovereign reigning over Lenegis shall be upon us.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any low came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right too.
That doesn't make it true. Too bad they couldn't see through her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, yeah, like, even if it's the survival of the fittest, you're saying that you usurped your father, which I don't know if that means you killed him too, but you were able to, I guess, be better than him, and then you somehow killed your brother just to get the seat. That's kind of ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
How loathsome? Oh, I was just reading about Voron. Can I help you? I was always an ardent supporter of Lord Urwagil Hadiris himself, or myself. Were it not for his sudden death down on the surface, I likely still would be. In my eyes, Lord Urwagil is a true water lord. I don't believe for a second that he perished in some accident like they said. As for how Voron runs Ganepharos, don't get me started. I hear he enslaves not only Danans, but even his fellow Renans. We may live in a society where to the victor goes to the spoils, but his actions go against what we as people stand for. Besides, just what sort of family line is this house incendiary of his anyway? I've never heard of it until he came along, which means they must be among the lowest dregs of society. That such an ignoble lineage could suddenly produce an actual artist capable of ascending to a lordship is unheard of. None of that makes any sense. Or none of it makes any sense, not to mention all of the upheaval around here of late. What is happening to our people? So...
It seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Ganepharos changed so abruptly.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary. Remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
So they just accepted Voron as Lord because, you know, he was just Lord.
Think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently than the rest of us.
Yeah, despite the brutality they're known for.
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying all the weight and responsibilities of Renan society.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces, and nothing exemplifies that more than the Lords.
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Rena, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you. Because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah, I think it's made me realize that the lords were all people, too. Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danon doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one. I think that's something we've all seen.
Shion and Dohalim definitely make a good case for it.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust. As a fellow human being above all else.
Anything here? Yeah, people don't know where to go. Oh, so I have to go this way. Alright.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah,
So,
no one knows.
Who was it then?
Yeah, like no one knows who won it though.
Unfreaked Milgras,
Oh.
the former lord of Cyslodia, if memory serves.
So then this Han-freaked whatchamacallem is the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegus?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegus from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renan by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
Doe?
Oh, is that the
Faria.
girl? Oh yeah.
Varia? Isn't that the person that Avakir guy was...
Just be quiet. Let
Why
them have
are
their
you
moment.
here? Wait. Don't tell me you've given up on the crown contest and come crawling back home from Dana already.
Damn.
Nothing to say? Even though you were willing to kill Tarnigan to secure your position as Lord, you still... Kill?
I'm here to take care of something. If you wish to continue this conversation, I only ask that you wait until I'm finished.
Oh, of course. You always did prefer to take the coward's way out. Even after 7 years and living on that Danon rock, you haven't changed one bit. But let me
come
tell
on.
you, I haven't changed either. Not a day's gone by the past 7 years that I haven't hated you.
If killing me will bring you peace, then so be it.
Dohalim, what the hell are you saying?
First, I have business to take care of. If it's vengeance you seek, I will grant you it. But you must wait. My sins are legion. Let me finish what I came to do. Then you have my word. I will let you do whatever brings you peace.
Oh
Sure,
my god.
that's it. Run away like always. You don't even have the courage to die. No wonder you leave it to someone else. You're just a coward!
Okay. Oh no. She's gonna be I'm gonna assume she's gonna be hostage, and then we're gonna have to fight something just to save her or something like that.
dohalim.
I apologize that you had to witness that.
No, that's okay.
Is it true? What she said about you killing someone?
Each of us have our pasts. I am no exception.
He had to kill to become Lord, though. From what
Before,
the backstory was.
back in Menancia, you mentioned having taken a friend's life over the throne. Is that what she meant?
The mistakes I made there were not my first, and may not be my last. I will say no more.
Did you mean what you said? About letting her take your life if she wanted to?
She has more right to my life than anyone.
But you can't just...
Whatever happens, I have sworn to put an end to the crown contest, and to ensure continued coexistence in Menancia. I have no intention of expiring before I do so. There are far too many questions I still seek answers to. Besides, you have just as much reason to kill me as she does.
Dohalim!
Oh, this is...
Forgive me. Some things are best left unsaid.
Dohalim still feels Kasara should kill him after what happened. Oh. Damn, I feel so bad. Thing. Yeah, why not? Dohalim ain't dying though. I'm letting that as a fact. That is not, should not even be a possibility. Dohalim is not dying. Like he better not. Tofu.
Wow, this place is beautiful.
Yeah. It must be some sort of rest and leisure area for the locals.
You think? Man, these Renin sure know how to live it up, don't they?
Is something the matter, Dohalim?
Before I went down to Dana, my friends and I, we used to gather at this very spot and play music together. Avakir, Faria, and Tarnigan. That was a lifetime ago now.
That was about 7 years ago.
Tarnigan. He was the one that Faria mentioned, right?
He was once my dearest, closest friend. As well as Faria's betrothed.
Oh, that's why she hates you. Like, really, really hates you.
Despite Faria's lower-class upbringing, she possesses a tremendous talent for music. Entranced by her playing, I helped her overcome her sense of inferiority and introduced her to Tarnagan and Avakir. It was a time of great joy. 4 people bound only by their love of music, with no care for social standing. Only the next song, the next melody.
A friendship based on mutual respect, and a society where everyone is a prisoner to their social class. You really are different, dohalim.
I suppose it's natural you would see it as strange.
I would have, once. Now, I think the idea of breaking away from society's constraints and choosing your friends based solely on affection is something beautiful that's worth cherishing. Besides, it was that way of looking at the world that laid the foundations for coexistence in Menancia.
Your praise does me too great an honor. I was merely following the wishes of my own heart. And even then, it only lasted until the crown contest began. After that, Tarnagan and I became fierce competitors for the position of Lord. Tarnagan had fallen for Faria. By becoming Lord, he aimed to wrest her from her humble origins and raise her to the highest echelons of society. But fate was not so benevolent.
What happened?
Tarnagan was no match for me in combat. On a level playing field, he wouldn't have stood a chance. But he was desperate and low on options, and he couldn't stand the thought of defeat.
You mean he resorted to dirty tactics to try to win, right? But then why does Faria think... Wait. Don't tell me she doesn't know.
How could I tell her? Combined with the trauma of losing her beloved, and by her friend's hand, no less. She would have been devastated.
So instead you let her go on hating you, so she could use that hate as a crutch for her grief?
That's not the same as running away, though.
It is exactly the same. Unable to face the loss of my friend and the burden of my duty. Instead, I decried my fate and looked away from what I'd done. As for what happened after, that you already know.
But if you hadn't become Lord, Menancia wouldn't be what it is now. The Danans there would still be suffering under Renan oppression like before.
Shion's right. What other lord would have treated me as you did? Anyone else and I would have been dead long ago. You've saved so many people, dohalim. You saved me. It's thanks to you that I'm here today. So, try not to blame yourself. The burden you've placed on your own shoulders is too much for anyone to bear.
Frank as always. But I shall do my best to heed your advice.
It's even more tragic, like...
Do you think he'll be all right?
Yeah, I think so. He's got Kisara.
It's important to have someone like that.
I didn't realize how difficult it is just to be there for someone.
Sometimes just knowing someone's on your side can be enough. And he knows, Shion. I promise he does.
I hope you're right. Alphen.
Yeah?
I never appreciated until recently just how much you were always there to support me.
It goes both ways. You've helped me keep going more times than I can count.
Maybe, but I still wanted to say thank you.
Man, everyone's just so supporting each other. You know, it's like you don't realize, because you know, Shion already talked about her traumatic backstory and that she just doesn't want to be a Lennigus because how bad it was for her. But Dohalim didn't show any emotion to it until coming here and seeing his old friends. And then you realize, you know, he has a traumatic kind of backstory here too because of how he had to become Lord. And it's kind of crazy that like he see it as, oh, I kind of ran away from the truth and ran away from everything and just became Lord and all this and that, and now he has to kind of face it all over again, and it's kind of might be too much for him in a way. And Shion and Kisara is just trying their best to give advice and be there for him like everyone else is, and it's so nice because you know you're over here thinking about Shion because she has a bad one, and then you have to think about right now Dohalim has one too, and you're really seeing it right now. I feel bad, like, because you know when you first meet him, all he mentions is that, oh, you know, he did have to kill a friend to become Lord. That was it. He didn't mention nothing else. So the fact that now it's like, okay, we found the girl who has been hating him for 7 years. Because apparently, you know, the person he killed was her, you know, future husband, pretty much. Was gonna be her husband. And since she was a lower class, with him being, you know, Lord, she would have been ascended to a higher class and nobility and everything. And he, you know, kind of took that away from him, you know, because, like he states, you know, the other guy wasn't good in combat and he was never gonna beat him anyway. It's just a crazy whole thing. And it's like you don't realize it until now.
Damn it. Lennigus soldiers.
Any way we can avoid fighting them?
That all depends on them. Whatever happens, be ready.
Well, so much for them not wanting to fight. Oh!
I am Lord Dohalim of Elden Menencia. I command you.
The rest of the city must be erased.
No. Have they been brainwashed too?
Brainwashed or not, if they want to fight, they got one.
Its armor's too strong.
Split it open!
Be my guest.
My shield!
Raging Tornado!
Rising Wyvern! Soaring Light Spear!
Look sharp.
Lightning Tiger Blade!
Soaring
Light Spear! I'm not done! Dragon Swarm! Swarm! Liquid Kick! Rising Wyvern! Soaring Light Spear! You're mine!
Dohalim!
Light Burst Form!
Radiant Citizen!
No! Take it! Jello Blade!
Those soldiers seem different from the citizens we've come across so far.
Yeah, they weren't big talkers, that's for sure. They just attacked without warning.
They weren't in the least bit fazed by Dohalim's presence either.
Indeed. They seem to recognize us as enemies, nothing more. And yet, traditionally, Lennigus hasn't been high on threats. A few frenzied Zeugles during experiments here and there, but not much else.
Their glazed-over eyes reminded me of the soldiers and slaves we met back in Ganath Haros. The ones in blind devotion to Volron.
I've never seen anything like that here on Lennigus before.
Maybe someone doesn't want us here, and the soldiers are their way of letting us know.
What with the Red Woman, the Sovereign, and Volron, we're starting to develop quite the growing list of adversaries. At least we'll know to keep our wits about us.
Whoa, look how green they are.
It'll be a breeze. Get in, get out.
Dragon Swarm!
Frickin' does it!
Ignite!
Hey, Gracing Orb! Lightning Orb! Power up water! These ones can run rings around us! Do it!
Dragon Swarm! Swallow Blade!
Dance!
Will this help?
It's time!
Frickin' does
Swallow
it!
Blade!
Healing Circle!
I owe you one.
First strike! Evening telling to me. That, yeah! And telling to me!
Swallow Blade!
Take this! Done
Mirror
for
Escape!
Storm!
Do it! Swallow Blade!
Demons descend! Flashing Fang!
Now! Take this! Rising Wyvern! Soaring Light Spear!
Oh, now I'm real mad.
No escape!
All good things come
I'm
to
not
an end.
Really?
You're mine!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
This should come in handy when crafting weapons.
Oh, nice. We got the dark one. Whoa.
No choice! Take this!
Water, here
Not today!
All finishes here and now!
Dance in the wind!
Dragon form!
Air thrust!
As if the normal creepy crawlies aren't disgusting enough.
In here!
Rising Wyvern! Flying Light Spear!
Super Swallow
I'm
Dance!
not done!
Talon Hurricane!
Try harder! My turn! Swallow Blade!
Super Swallow Dance!
Rising Wyvern!
Soaring Blade!
That's much better. Mirage!
I'll tear you apart!
In here!
No
Let
escape!
me be saving
Swallow
this
Blade!
Oh, got logged.
Dragon Swallow Dance! Swallow Blade!
I never fit!
I'm not done!
Sleep now!
It's over!
Here, let me help!
Slash! Swallow Blade! I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
Take this!
Swallow Dance!
Slash! Dragon
Talon
form!
Hurricane!
Slash! Rising
All
Wyvern!
finishes
Burn
here
in
and now!
hell!
Light astral raging lightning!
I'm not done! Shut up!
Magic is there! Air thrust! Light astral
I'm not
raging!
done!
Super Swallow Dance! All good things
I'm not
come to
done!
an end. Take this!
Here's a
Here I
hero!
come!
Quiver Dragon!
Swallow Blade! Dragon
Death!
Charge like that could easily be fatal.
Just as well, I'm here to stop.
Blazing lightning!
Now you see what I can do!
Leave the charges to me.
Dance in the wind!
Dragon form!
Here's the evil!
Swallow Blade!
Magic is there!
Rising Wyvern! The flame inside is yours to be let free!
Now!
River!
Astral energy!
Say no more!
Am I on a roll or what?
Well, look
Wow.
who's in a bright and shiny mood.
Here's a hero!
Burn in hell!
I can't let the hatred consume me!
Soaring Light Spear!
I'm ready!
No escape!
Swallow Blade! I never miss!
No escape! Take it! Swallow Blade! Too fast!
Stand back. I'll trip it up.
Where the hell from? Rising Wyvern! Shut up!
Freeze Lancer!
Take this! I'm not done! Here I come! Dragon form!
The enemy rules are defeated.
You'll soon see about that!
Oh my god, I can't see.
My turn! Swallow Blade! Rising Wyvern!
Astral energy!
Say no more! Not a chance! I'm not done!
In a bind?
I'm not done! Swallow Blade! Dragon!
Water! Here
Swallow
I
Blade!
come!
Do it!
Kisara! Frozen!
Hammer!
This should make for some good weapon crafting
Whoa.
material.
Oh, another recipe! So we got a parfait and a shortcake. Ooh, I'm hype about that.
I won't forgive you!
You got
Tear you apart! Lunar corruption! Gemini Aqua! This one's mine! They really don't do that, do they?
Now you learn! Rising Wyvern! You're mine! I'm on Soaring Light Spear!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished! My turn! Dragon form!
Now!
Light versus force!
Radiant Genesis!
Oh, it resists. Okay.
We can really make weapons with this?
Those soldiers don't seem to have any qualms about attacking on sight.
Is someone making them stand guard over the Forbidden Zone?
An opponent like this should be easy. I see one. Take this!
Where are you going?
I'm going in.
All desire.
Do it!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished. Not a chance. Dragon Swarm! Super Swallow Dance!
Watch this! Take this!
Swallow Blade!
Watch it!
Demon's Descent!
Flashing Fang!
Illuminate the
Dragon
darkness!
Swarm!
Holy Glimmer!
Rising Wiper!
Holy Land!
Tornadic Sphere! Reverse!
Astral Energy!
Say no more.
Am I on a roll or what?
Well, look who's in a bright and shiny mood.
Money. All right.
This must be it. The entrance to the Forbidden Zone.
But it's just a wall. How do we get through?
Whoa, we? I thought this was Sovereigns only.
So often.
Alphen.
Yes! It opened!
Interesting. If Alphen's presence still opens the way, it would seem the Sovereign of 3 centuries ago and now are considered one and the same.
What?
What the?
Oh, we're getting transported back to.
Alphen.
You again.
Tomorrow's the spirit channeling ceremony. We'll finally play our parts as the Sovereign and Maiden. How have you been feeling?
What am I sovereign of? Shuffled from lab to lab, always treated like an experiment. Whenever they look at me, all they see is a Danon. I don't even know what their precious ceremony's for. Let alone what they're going to force me to do as the Sovereign. Tell me, if we're both in the same boat, why do you seem so calm right now?
No choice. Becoming the Maiden's not something I wanted for myself. But they said Rena's prosperity depended on it. How could I say no after that?
Still, as a Renan, at least you got to decide. Good for you. Meanwhile, I was taken from my homeland. You aren't the captive one here.
It isn't right what they did to you, and I'm sorry for what it's worth. When this is over, I swear I'll help you get home. I can't do this alone. One more day.
How could I say no to that? It's not like I have any choice in the matter anyway. So, what's your name?
It's Naori. Naori Imaris. Try to remember this time.
You don't act like them. Like the other Renans, I mean. How come you treat me like a person?
Because you are. It's true we come from different worlds. But neither one of us asked to be here right now. In that sense, you and I are much the same. we couldn't do this. We wouldn't be able to talk to each other as people if we didn't see the humanity in each other. So I suppose the question you should be asking is, why wouldn't I treat you like one?
You're not like the others.
Maybe they're not like me.
Here's what we'll do. We give them their damn ceremony. You get me to Dana. That'll be the end of it. I'm taking you at your word on this. I'm trusting you, not them. Naori.
Did everyone get to see the backstory? Or the flashback?
What the hell just happened?
That vision. Did everyone else see it too?
That person Alphen was speaking to, she looked exactly like Shion.
It was Naori. Naori Imaris. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
She really does look like Shion. I'm beginning to see why Alphen was so confused.
That's all very well and fine, but what did we just witness exactly? It was too real to be a mere hallucination.
It was a conversation we had 300 years ago. The night before the ceremony.
You mean all of that really happened? We just saw an episode straight out of your past?
But how is that even possible? Unless... Could this be the Red Woman's handiwork too?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
You guys didn't feel it? The moment the entrance opened, it was like a stream of Danon astral energy rushing over us.
I felt it too. And not for the first time either. It was the same sensation as back inside the wedge.
That would make sense. After all, vast amounts of Dana's astral energy were being siphoned and sent up here to Lenegus. For all we know, perhaps we're close to the spot where all that energy was stored.
So you think it might have been the energy itself that was responsible for that vision we just saw? But how? And why?
We have no way of knowing. Maybe it's not even as deliberate as all that.
Shion, you okay?
Yeah. It was all just a little sudden. That's all. So that was my ancestor, huh? It was like looking into a mirror.
Yeah, there certainly is a resemblance.
What about you? How are you holding up?
Me?
Even putting aside the question of where that vision came from, it's likely we'll see more of those. Reliving painful episodes from your past. Do you think you can handle it?
I can't just pretend like the past never happened. Besides, if it helps us uncover the truth of what that ceremony really was, it might also lead to answers about your thorns.
Alphen.
That's not all. This whole time, we've been fighting to free Dana from the Renans. But now that we're here, it seems those same Renans might have it just as bad. I'd like to liberate them too, if I can. Which is just another reason I can't afford to shield my eyes from the truth.
Whether you're on Dana or somewhere else, you always stay the same. Your indignation and righteous passion, your desire to free and protect, they're all hardwired into you. Not that I'm complaining. Come on, let's bust this thing wide open.
Nobody's here.
Stay sharp. After that last illusion, there's no telling what could happen in here.
Are we able to come back? Like, Oh, it's gonna be her. Oh no! Don't tell me we have to kill her.
How did you get in here?
This is not gonna work.
Something about her isn't right.
What's wrong with her? She doesn't even seem to know where she is.
Yeah, you're right. She looks just like the soldiers we encountered outside.
Oh, okay.
A summoning?
But that's preposterous. She never had that kind of power when...
We can talk later. Here it comes!
The red woman is really putting her up to something.
What?
Alright, let's go.
I've never known Faria to give those noodles like that before.
How about with a stone that looks suspiciously like a master core?
Where did she get her hands on that?
First we handle the Douglas, then we get some answers.
Go for the weak point!
I can carve through armor! You're mine!
Oh man, I did way too much.
Swallow blade! I'm not done! Swallow blade!
If it's in the sky, it's mine! I'll stop its charge! Thanks, Kisara!
Oh, that was a waste.
Dragon swarm! Swallow blade!
Here I go!
This one's going mine! Dragon tail! Dragon form! I'm just getting started! Swallow blade! Here I come! Slash! Try harder! Not a chance! Rising wyvern! Soaring light spear!
That'll bring you down!
All good things come anything in order is all mine! Dragon swarm! Swallow blade! Rising wyvern! Soaring light spear!
It's weakened!
This ends now! Slash! First strike! I'm not done! Dragon swarm!
You see what happened there is you crossed me. Shouldn't have done that.
Swallow blade!
It was nice while it
Eat
lasted.
this! Take this! Slash! Swallow blade!
Razor Cyclone!
Rising wyvern!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! Dragon shell!
All
I'm
disaster!
already halfway.
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
Yep, nice.
Dragon swarm! Slash! Rising wyvern! Stardust! Eagle assault! Soaring light spear!
Eagle
It's
shot!
gonna attack!
Right, watch out!
Swallow blade! The flame inside me yearns to be let free! Try harder! My turn! Dragon swarm! Swallow blade! Swallow blade! Eat dirt!
Rolling snap!
Swallow blade! You're mine! No escape! Swallow blade! Try harder! Now! What is...
Ah!
You okay? I can still do this!
Okay, I'm not dying.
I never fit! Glacial Spear! Dance in the wind! Freeze Lancer!
Girl, effing heal me right now.
Now you see what I can do!
Thanks!
Blah blah blah! Back in cover! Burning!
Dragon swarm! Try harder! Not a chance!
Dance in the wind!
Dragon swarm! Slash! Swallow blade!
Stockpile!
Dragon shell!
Go! Mega stars of light! Rain down!
Take this!
Mega ray!
That freaking does it!
Mega ray!
No escape! Dragon swarm!
In here!
Slash!
Talon hurricane!
I'll use the healing art!
Denied!
We got him on the run!
Don't get cocky!
Right. Still anyone's fight.
Watch this!
Tunnel! Reload! I'll heal you all!
No escape! Dragon swarm!
Healing circle!
Ignite!
Talon hurricane!
Strike! Dragon swarm!
Watch this!
Slash! Swallow blade! Rising wyvern! Stardust! Now, while it's reeling!
Take it down!
I'm not done!
Freeze Lancer! It's about to strike!
Look sharp, everyone!
Damn.
I can see this all day. I can carve through armor.
Annihilation! By the power of pain! Finish without a trace!
Here I come! Dragon swarm!
Law!
Demon's descent! Flashing fang!
Man. I'm so glad I didn't die. I'm so glad my team didn't die. Solid as a rock, let's go! Yeah.
Now it's just her!
But we gotta save her from the brainwash.
Varia!
She's preparing another summoning!
The art she's casting is way too powerful to control. At this rate, her body won't be able to take much more. Dohalim!
Let's just save.
Forgive me.
Oh.
Man, I thought we were goners.
Everything okay?
Yes. She's only unconscious.
Not her. I meant you.
Well, she needs to be taken care of too.
Shion, please. Can you treat her?
I can try, but I can't promise she'll be back to her real self when she wakes up. All I can do is heal her physically.
We're not even supposed to be in here. Maybe it'd be better if we moved her to somewhere a little safer. Don't you think?
In that case...
I'll take her off your hands.
You? Avakir, what are you doing here?
I was curious what you were up to, so I took the liberty of following you to find out. I overheard what you said about Tarnigan, about how he really died. I'm sorry, I had no idea.
And you believed me? What makes you so sure I wasn't lying?
I like to think I know you a little better than that, dohalim. Give me some credit.
How did you hear the conversation like across the fountain
I'll
or
take
something?
Faria. Leave her with me. I know better than to ask what you're up to. But whatever it is, I hope it all works out.
Thank you.
He seems like a good friend.
He hasn't changed. He never was one to stand out. Instead, he was always hanging back, worrying about everyone else. As for Faria, it's always the closest to me who get hurt.
You don't seriously blame yourself for what happened to her, do you?
Somebody got to her, to strike back at me. Someone who knew me well enough to know that I'd hesitate to fight back. And the same goes for you as well. Neither you nor Faria would have lost loved ones, if it wasn't for me.
You're wrong. Kelzelik was the one who killed my brother, under orders from Almadria. As for Tarnigan, if it weren't for the crown contest, he'd still be alive. That and the whole damn hierarchy that makes it possible. But that's why we're fighting. To put an end to this whole messed up system that treats people as expendable.
Indeed. Ridding society of this blight is really the only way I know how to atone for my sins.
You can't atone, Dohalim. I know it
It's
hurts
not gonna.
to hear,
It's not gonna.
but those people are dead. No amount of soul-searching or trying to make amends is going to change that. Forgiveness, acceptance, those ships have sailed.
So I just forget the harm I caused?
No, the opposite, in fact. You remember. You never forget. You keep it in your heart always. And then you go on living. Not for those already passed, but for those still alive.
For those still alive.
Kisara's right. So long as we've still got breath in our bodies, we can make a difference in the lives of others. Lives being the operative word.
Being able to still make a difference. Punishing yourself for the past won't make the pain of your conscience go away.
Only fixing the problem in its stead. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. You have to live for tomorrow, Dohalim, not for yesterday. And not only that, you need to live for yourself, and for the change that you still can be.
I shall try.
Don't forget, we've still got a mystery to solve. The Forbidden Zone, remember?
Shion,
Huh?
thank you. You have my deepest gratitude for what you did for Faria.
Glad to be of service.
I'm glad we could stop Faria without hurting her.
You all did much for her as well. I'm most grateful.
Aw, shucks. We're on the same team, right? Let's move on.